use plan for the property located right across the street from where we're at today. So I'm Jason Soren, and I work with the Planning Division of Orange County. I've taken over this project from John Harbalis, so I'll be the new contact. You can see my email address on the screen. But before we get started, just a couple housekeeping rules. We're going to try to get wrapped up here no later than 7 p.m. And also, please sign in on the sign-in sheets. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to the District Commissioner for any comments.
Thank you so much, Jason. And I really want to thank the residents that are here. I want to thank the applicant, and I want to thank staff. This is the night that we really just want to make sure that if there's questions that are unanswered, that we're answering them. We got to get it right the first time, because this is, really what the whole goal is, right? And then, obviously, if there's anything when you get home, always just reach out. You can either email us at District 1 at ocfl.net is probably the easiest way. And then, we'll make sure to be in touch as this goes forward if, there are additional questions. Thank you so much.
All right, so this is our third community meeting to discuss this request, and it's changed, so we're going to go over what the changes are. The applicant is Erica Hughes with VHB. So the request is to go from the Country Estate District to the Planned Development District. It's 33.7 acres located in District 1. The proposed use is now up to 17 single-family homes detached and 93 townhomes for 110 units total. Just a side note here that the minimum density in the townhome district, which is what they already have, is 110 units. So they're at the minimum, the required minimum. So again, it's in District 1. And this is an aerial of the subject property, showing it, as you know, it's right across the street from where we're at tonight. Again, this is the existing Horizon West Special Planning Area map, indicating that the property has a designation of townhome district. The townhome district requires a density of between 8 to 10 units per acre, which equates to 110 to 138 units. Again, the rezoning is from RCE to PD. This is a portion of the land use plan. Land use plan is really just a bubble plan that indicates the district that it's in, what the acreage is, what the units per acre are, as well as the access points. And just a little bit about process. So they already have the future land use, that's already in place. They already have the townhome district, so they're not changing that. We're here tonight for the community meeting. That's part of the land use plan application process. When this is ready to move forward, it's going to move to the Development Review Committee, which is a sunshine meeting. It's a staff level review. Then it's going to move forward to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which is a public hearing. If you received this notice for this community meeting, you will receive a notice for that hearing as well. Also, this will require a public hearing in front of the Board of County Commissioners, and you will also receive a notice for that as well. And in terms of who you can contact, and we don't have a date yet for the Planning and Zoning Commission, you can contact your district commissioner at District 1 at ocfl.net. But when this gets to the board, there's going to be other commissioners and the mayor that vote on it as well. So if you want to take a screenshot of this with your phone, you can do that. You can do that at the end of the meeting. But that wraps up my presentation. We have some conceptual drawings here that the applicant's going to present.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everyone. My name is Erica Hughes. I'm with VHB representing the applicant team. Also with us, is John Prowl, our civil engineer, Dan O'Keefe, our land use attorney, and Ken Lanahan, the architect for the project. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. So last time we were here, we had a request for multifamily development, and specifically it was for 375 units at a density of 25 units per acre and at a building height of 5 stories. And many of us remember that that wasn't well received, so we went back, our team, and we went around with the plan, and what we are proposing now, as Jason pointed out, is 110 single family, which is the minimum density that we can have on the property. 17 of those are going to be single detached units, which are located along the lakefront so that the neighbors in the south would see units that are more in light to what they are currently existing. And then the townhomes are going to be developed more central to the to the site in the north area of the site. So with our new proposal, our density was reduced from 25 units per acre down to 8, which is the minimum allowed. And the traffic impacts generated before were 165 PM peak hour trips, and now we're down to only 60. And the school population generated now is down to 42 total students. So our impacts for public infrastructure have dramatically been reduced. The setbacks and buffers that we're proposing are following the code. We have a 25-foot perimeter buffer around the site. And Jason, you can go to the next slide. We also put this buffer to kind of give examples of what the proposed buffer would be along the west side where the existing single family is, so that you can kind of get a general idea that it would be a really nice feature, using typical materials that probably exist in your neighborhoods now. And the distance from the property line to the nearest townhome would be over 90 feet. So there would be quite a good separation from the existing single family to the townhomes. So that pretty much wraps up what our presentation is now. We're all available for any questions. And we really thank you again. Go ahead.
Dan Prescott at Beach River Road in Summerport. What are the actual heights of the story lines of the units going to be?
So right now, the zoning by code allows up to 4 stories for the townhomes, and I believe 3 stories for the single-family detached. When we get into the next phase of the PSP, we would probably narrow it down. Right now, we don't have the specifics of the products for the townhomes, but they wouldn't be more than 4 stories.
Okay, because my concern is the connection that you have into Summerport. I hear that that is not a given that has to be used. And if you downplay the input of the traffic, there shouldn't be no reason to infringe into the Summerport subdivision. And plus, the character of these townhomes does not complement the ones that are existing in Summerport itself.
So the interconnectivity into Summerport, that is a requirement that the county is making us do. That's not a feature that we are proposing. That is what we are being told to add to the plans. So we are abiding by the code and the comp plan for that. The final architecture for the townhomes hasn't been decided, but we do know we want to be complementary to what is existing right now. And I do believe that the final building height would be 2 stories for the townhomes.
Now, the county itself that has the permission to give this right away, the builder doesn't really necessarily care whether or not it goes into Summerport or not, like that. But the actual list is that you're going to present at the end of the meeting, is that correct? The contacts for the county that is saying the entrance into Summerport is acceptable.
Yeah, so let's back up, because I think that was sort of unclear. The way that the code and the comp plan are currently written requires connectivity from subdivision to subdivision, so we don't have dead ends where people can't get out, where there can't be ambulances that have more than one entrance. And it's part of the established code. It's not being imposed by us onto them. So, we do want to hear if there's concerns about the way that if there's safety concerns, any kind of concerns, please reach out, email me, call my office, because I know that I don't live right there, and I don't know what those safety concerns are or the concerns that you have. But that is what's written currently in our code in the development of neighborhoods.
Now the question is, how many entrances from that development there onto 535 directly near the high school are?
One connection.
Excuse me?
One connection.
And not 2. 2 could not be possible. Is what you're saying?
It is proposed as one
You
connection.
don't want 2 in there. It'd be crazy. You're adding another congestion.
But going back to the connection to the neighborhood, so that it's long been planned. There's already a stub out there, and the one thing that separates Horizon West from a lot of the other areas in the county, where you have a lot of disconnected areas, a lot of cul-de-sacs where people can't get from one neighborhood to the next. It takes them 8. There's one instance where it takes 8 miles from the backyard to get around to the person that lives behind them. We didn't want that. So in Horizon West, we wanted interconnectivity. So this has long been planned to connect. When it was proposed for apartments, there was some legitimate concern there to have some, that use connecting, but this is townhomes now with single family. So we do certainly feel that it's an appropriate connection to make.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you had mentioned that it could be up to 4 stories for the townhomes, but you think it's gonna be 2?
Yeah.
I'm
So-
not familiar with a 4-story townhome. Sounds more like
That's just because we're in the zoning code, you typically keep the flexibility in the zoning. So right now, under this district, you can go up to 4 stories with the townhome. However, we are willing to commit to 2-story townhomes that's probably more compatible and in line with what the market is going to be wanting out here anyways. So 2-story townhomes, we can pick that in the PD conditions of approval.
And just so you know how this works, because they are going to make that commitment, with the land use plan, there's criteria that they have to adhere to, so they can update that. It certainly currently shows 4 stories, so when they resubmit, they'll show 2 stories, and that's what they're held to. And if that changes, they'd have to go back through the land use plan change determination process. So it is going to be cemented, so to speak. So is there anybody else with questions?
2-story for the homes as well.
2-story for the homes?
Yes,
Yes.
we can do.
Yes, ma'am.
What is allowances are being made or changes made for the extra cars that are gonna be coming out of 535? It's already a parking lot out there, and we're gonna add probably 2 cars per home? That's a lot of additional traffic.
So the connection point's at the traffic light, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Yeah, so, we can't stop them from developing here, it was long planned for development, I understand the traffic's bad, but there's processes that they can go through to mitigate for their impact onto the roadways, and monies that they have to pay based on those impacts, and that's the best that we can do.
And are there any plans for that?
Right now, we haven't been, we have submitted a traffic study and we fully will cooperate with transportation planning. If a proportionate share agreement of a monetary contribution of what the impacts are generated from the development go into the county's coffers for improvements along 535 or in that area. Right now, our traffic study is under review with Orange County, and as we continue through the process, then we would continue through the road re-agreement committee process as well.
And to whom do we address our concerns about that?
And I also want to say something, because every chance I can get to explain something to people that is very frustrating at the county level, that we're prohibited, I'm so loud, I can't even hear the mic. We're prohibited by state law, so just remember this when you go to vote for your state person. We're prohibited denying development based on traffic. Take it up to Tallahassee. It is one of those things that I oftentimes think we have a lot to work with, and thank God we have people that are willing to work with us so that things meet and match a community. But if you don't think that there are, a lot of other things in play, there are, and one of those are state preemptions, and there's a state preemption that by law does not allow us to deny development based on traffic.
But Nicole, at the same time, does it give you the authority to request more from them towards the roads, say widening, different lanes, or different construction, different lights?
Well, that was what they were describing.
Yeah,
was that.
they have to do what
You
they're,
have to know
whether
what-
it's turn lanes, whether it's anything that would be, anything that they could do to solve their impact based on the traffic study that they'd have to submit. Yes, sir.
Just curiosity, is the 33 acres, does that include the water area that's behind that, that's within that red line there? Or is the actual land 33 acres? 18 acres.
The property appraiser actually includes the water within the 33 acres, but our developable area and what the density is based on is only the smaller piece. Now, we didn't take liberty for the 8 water
Yeah,
acres.
17.74 acres is the upland acreage. Yes, sir.
Yeah, obviously I understand the traffic aspect of it. With that being said, obviously we're in a high school right now. There's a ton of traffic that comes and goes from this whole area, not just the patterns of who lives in that general vicinity. The concern of that being a cut through, and obviously again I understand you can't prevent that, but can you make, or have there been considerations for ways to maybe minimize that with, like in Summerport, we've got a lot of roundabouts that slow down the speeding through the neighborhood, or speed bumps, or anything like that that can help to prevent or at least deter people from trying to fly through there or even use it at all.
Right, and one good thing is what you see up here is that if somebody were to try to cut through, they have to come to a stop sign, they have to turn, and then they have to do an elbow turn, and then they have to do another turn. So it's not like a straight shot from the traffic light to get back to the community behind it. So that's one good plus. Perhaps they could look into, I don't know if they do speed bumps, but.
What about a gated community?
Oh,
It's
can't
also
do.
the gates, West, they don't, it's not on, it's.
Yeah, were you saying the gates aren't
Yeah.
Horizon West? So I'm John, I'm a civil engineer with VHB. Just the point on the speed bumps and the traffic, really that becomes an operational issue with Orange County. We oftentimes work with Orange County's traffic department, to install some of those in some areas, but ultimately that's something that we get direction from the county on. And hopefully you can hear me. The other thing on the connection into Summerport, I think we just wanted to clarify too, that we understand it is part of Orange County's policies, part of the Horizon West interconnectivity. If the county did choose to remove that connection, we would be in support of that. That would be something that our development would be okay with. So for for the cut through like you're explaining. But if we're prepared to obviously put it in based on the code and the requirements of the policies.
Sir, yes.
Are the traffic studies that you're doing and that the county's considering taking into account this new Lynx bus line that's going right along 535, that there's a meeting here at this high school in a gym on Monday night at 6:30 to discuss, that was completely taken most of the parents to go to the school here by surprise?
The Lynx bus stop, is that?
Yeah.
Can I speak there? Yeah. I'm not the traffic engineer who actually put the report together, but I know different mobility items are often considered in the study. I think for this project, it's more of a vehicular capacity of the road, and it's the county will review that, our impact on what's existing out there, the existing capacity, the existing traffic, and then if there's a delta where, hey, there's not enough capacity or there's a problem that we generate from our project, we're obligated to mitigate for that in either some improvements or by a roadway agreement with the county to pay our fair share of what that impact is. So, as far as the bigger picture, the kind of multimodal, I don't think that's a big factor in the traffic study. It's more vehicular is what
And
you're looking
I don't
at.
know if what you're mentioning, but it is here, the District 1 Transportation Initiative, countywide initiative. The District 1, I requested it be here, because this is a fairly central location in the district. And it will be more of an open house about all kinds of topics as far as investment for transportation and the possibility for an initiative, a referendum. So I encourage you to come out for that. That's on next Monday night.
Next Monday night.
Right here.
Right.
Sign up for our newsletter. Because really, ultimately, and I know this is, and I'm sorry for, taking a little time for this, but we really do have to consider multimodal, whether, we need light rail, I believe, and I've been saying it for a very long time, that comes out here and as many options as possible to get cars off the road, to allow people to walk and bike and whatever else we need to do to alleviate that traffic. And we need to really think about it the way that they have in places that they move around a lot of people. And Orange County hasn't been focused on anything more than adding lanes for a long time. So we really want residents engaged in thinking about what works for you, your community, and your family.
Well, I think as a follow-up to my point, the question that everybody in this room should be concerned about is talking about the 535 being a parking lot. If you got a bus stopping every 50 yards, every 150 yards, it's going to create a bottleneck where there already is a bottleneck. So I don't know how much thought has gone into this when you were talking about your multimodal stuff. It's not very well thought out.
Yeah, listen, I don't think any of the roads are on. No offense to the planning people. I'm sorry, but I have a hard time with the way that they conceptualize the densities without thinking about that first, right? It makes no sense to me at all that the part of the density never matched up with alternatives for transportation, and that we didn't. But that is, welcome to Florida. I don't know what to tell you about that. I just want to say that going forward, looking at investment, and you have a voice in this, right? Because it would go on a referendum. that we can decide to put more cars on the road and do more lanes and more cars on the road and more lanes, and I don't know where that stops. Or we can try to figure out a way to get cars off the road and either put people, potentially in a bus or in a train or in other options, right? Whether it is better bike lanes so we can get more people on bikes. I know we've had conversations about how to get, the use for micromobility golf carts so that we can get people. Getting cars off the road is your best chance at the bottleneck, not making it wider.
You're not gonna get cars off the road, you're just not. You're gonna tell everybody in this room to give up their cars, not gonna happen, you're living in fantasy land.
No,
So just to try to keep us back on track, so we're here to talk about the request. I understand there's gonna be something here next Monday night to talk about some other issues in the area. So, yes, ma'am.
Do you have a general price point for these projected homes and townhomes? 'Cause
Price point,
That's gonna significantly
No,
impact.
to be market rate.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be market rate at this time, so.
Right.
So what
Because
it's
market rate right
comparable
now is
to
much
what the
different from
surrounding
market.
area is for new constructions of townhomes or single-family detached would be. So there could be a wide range right
Okay,
now.
do you have an example? Like, I haven't bought a home in a number of years, so do you have an example for those
No,
single
not at
homes
this
or those
time.
townhomes? No.
Right.
I think you gotta
So-
think about it in terms of price per square foot, right? I mean, when you're looking at my house, I have a 3,000 square foot house, I look at it on a price per square foot basis. And even if townhouses are smaller than my house, price per square foot will probably still be parity.
Sure, fair enough,
Right.
but I'm not getting an answer
I
from
think,
that either.
the property appraiser, just in my opinion, is a great resource. If you just look at what sales are in some report, you'll understand what's gonna happen, with this project.
OCPAFL.net or .org. That's where the property appraiser website is. You can look at any value as it's been assessed by the property appraiser. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Do you know if this is the largest high school in Florida?
Is this the largest high school in Florida? Not even close. That's probably South Florida. That's where it's
Yeah, it's not high school. Yeah, I think your high school is the largest high school.
Has the developer purchased the land yet? Or is it in
Yes.
negotiation?
No,
So you have purchased it now?
yes.
Okay, is that something as of recent? Are you able to disclose if it was recent? Or,
We're the engineers and planners.
Yeah,
And
okay.
so, I don't know, you can look on
The property
appraiser,
appraiser will
see when
list
it
the
transacted.
sale of.
It lists, the property appraiser lists the sale date, and it also lists the, they upload the warranty deeds and all that, the sale documents.
I know a lot of our concerns, people in the room, is that the area's been developed not with 110 possible homes being built there. That seems very high density. If you look across the street, for example, there's 17 acres, and there's 17 homes, right? And so when you look across the street, you go to 110 and the same amount of land. Yes, the traffic is a concern. Everyone's going to talk about the traffic. Some report, they're not going to go out towards the high school in the morning, not a chance. They're going to cut up through their neighborhood all day long. That's just where all those homes are going to go when they exit, right? So I feel their concern. I think you guys probably do as well, because there's no way that elbow is going to support 110 units, right? So I think everyone in the room probably realizes it's going to be developed at some point in time. The fact that it can't be single-family homes and it has to be 110 townhomes is a punch in the stomach, right? And we don't want to feel it with all that's going to go up and down 535, which we already see. The 4-car pileup that was 3/4 of the mile up the road. When you do the math on how long is it just in physical distance of how many cars that might be going in at 8 a.m. or leaving at 8 a.m. and coming back at 5 p.m., you're looking at like 3/4 of a mile in the length of the number of cars, right? So if we can decrease the number of units being built, we're not going to stop it being developed. You get that. You own it now. So let's develop it. Is there any way we can develop it with not as many, townhomes, or what? Can we put a park in there? Like, to some extent, I don't see any for the kids that are going there.
Well, I mean,
there's nothing there for them. It's all homes.
Yeah,
So are they
so-
going to have a soccer field or basketball court?
Yeah, I know that would be a great amenity, but unfortunately, what this shows you right here is the Horizon West Special Planning Area map, and for the Bridgewater Village, which in 2005, it was adopted. 1998, this map was adopted, and it had the townhome district since then.
So they can't change that?
They could, but they don't have to.
Well, they
but
could.
They bought the property with the expectation that it had a minimum density requirement of 110 units. So, and just to speak to your point about why across the street it's a little bit different type of development, that's in the rural settlement, the West Windermere rural settlement, that's what you see here in the green. That was already existing at the time that Horizon West was being formulated, and on the west side of West Winter Garden Vineland Road, that's where you have the start of Horizon West. So that's why you see the difference in the types of development.
The question would be about the sewage system and then the water, and then are they gonna have natural gas, or what kind of resources are these townhomes gonna have when they're built?
Sure. So the whole area is served by Orange County Utilities for water and wastewater service. So the potable water will come from Orange County. There's lines.
Because I know across the street, I don't believe, you know, a lot of those areas surrounding, but maybe it's connecting to Summerport. Is that kind of the idea of that side of 535? Is that?
Are you asking where the utilities are coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in 535 right now. So we're just going to tap right off for the water mains, and we'll interconnect it back into Summerport. So there'll be a water main connection. There's sewer, gravity sewer, and lift stations all in Summerport that have been planned for this development. Like Olin said, it's been master planned since for 22 years. So that's going to be accommodated with Orange County. Now, as far as like gas and utility and the phone and the internets, those are franchisees type things. So those companies make those decisions to come in if they think the area needs that service, or if they'd like to provide that service there.
I'll come back to you, sir. I just want to make sure that we get through everybody that hasn't had it. Yes, sir.
We talked about this a little bit last time. I don't know if any further thought has been given to it, but jumping off the notion of the 110 minimum density and the fact that this plan was made in 1998, order with the high school, and this host of safety issues that we have now on 535. I didn't know Commissioner Wilson, I think we had talked about it last time, and we were trying to understand how this 1998 plan sort of forces a backdoor rezoning. I mean, we know that the zoning is actually not allowing townhomes, which is the reason we have this rezoning application. And I feel like throughout the night, we've all sort of assumed that this 110 needs to happen because it's in this plan. But there's also an expectation when the property was purchased that there's county resident zoning. So I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. So
to fight this 110.
Yeah, so the issue, it really becomes a legal issue. Yeah, the Board of County Commissioners could deny the request because technically they do need the rezoning to be able to build on the property, but then they're just going to appeal that.
Right.
And it goes to the circuit court, it could end up in front of the governor's office, and they're going to look at it and say it was townhome district.
So, and I do think this is the part that's really confusing, and this is what I think we talked about last time,
Yeah.
was that we have a zoning, but we also have a future land use map. And
Right.
those things do not mesh up until there's an application for that land use.
Right.
And so, to see, something that's ag zone, but then has a future land use for townhomes, and you think, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it's because there hasn't been any activity there to trigger that process. And it is a very, I think a sector plan is a really good idea when it gives some predictability, and that's what the sector plan was intended to do, was to give some predictability. But you're right, the challenges that we have are very real, and we've got to figure out how to make them work, because we're balancing property rights, private property rights, with what are also your quality of life and your property. So there's that balancing act, and I just that's why I appreciate these conversations and trying to figure out how to make things better and how to make them fit.
Yeah, I mean, I really do appreciate, the concessions. I feel like we're definitely heading in the right direction. I just wonder, it sounds like Selnik could request to build less than 110 if they really wanted to listen to the community and put in more single family homes, right? And
Yes,
it's not,
property, it's private property.
might not want to. I mean, is that fair? I mean, I think it's.
They could, they could.
Yeah, I mean, you'll hear the, minimum density. I mean, it's there. Once again, private property rights are very powerful. It's a very powerful, which we want, right? That's you don't mind that when it's something that's invading your property. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it would be an easier thing for them to go in that direction as far as, or as opposed to something happening from an administrative point or from the county.
And they could, like, they could go to the county and say, hey, we only want to do 75 single family homes. We know it doesn't meet the minimum density. Can we change this?
Yeah, they could.
All right, thank you.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I guess picking up on the legal question, it seems to me that zoning would supersede the site plan. So you have to bend the zoning to go back to this archaic 1998 site plan. I mean, if my understanding is correct, we're having to change the law to accommodate to this site plan.
So I understand your question. So,
That seems to be the case, right?
yeah, so the way the layers work is that the top layers, which all the bottom layers should conform to, the top layer is what you see here on the screen. This is the Horizon West Special Planning Area map. So everything else is supposed to eventually fall in line with that. This is very similar to a future land use map. In Horizon West, it's all village, but this is kind of a next layer, top layer map that the zoning would have to conform to.
So what you're saying to me is legally, this supersedes zoning?
It's something that the zoning has to be in conformance with before development can happen. This map that you're looking at is the forward-looking map.
Right, but if the zoning that is currently existing is not changed, does that not stop this development from happening?
This is our Horizon West expert here. Assistant Planning Manager Olin.
I'm not sure I'm the expert at anything, but I can tell you this. Prior to 1985, all across the state of Florida, all we had in place was zoning. And that's what exists today. For ag properties that are zoned A1, A2, they've more than likely been zoned that way since 1957, when we first adopted our zoning map. In 1985, through the State of Florida Growth Management Act, every jurisdiction within the state had to create a future land use map. This is essentially the future land use map for Horizon West. And through that 1985 law, future land use maps became the precedent over zoning. So up until 1985, you're right, zoning would have applied. After 1985, and Orange County didn't adopt their land use map until 1991. So 1991 is when it started in Orange County. But from 1991 on, the future land use map took precedent over zoning. Now, the county at that time could have administratively rezoned the entire county and changed people's zoning from A1 to be consistent with this map or whatever map or whatever land use was designated in 1991. They chose not to do that. As we move forward with our new Vision 2050 comp plan update, which we hope to get to the board next summer, the discussion right now is whether or not we should administratively rezone properties to be consistent with that vision. So that's the question that's on the horizon that we'll have to address with the Board of County Commissioners. But just so you know, since 1985, land use takes precedent over zoning.
Yes, sir, in the red shirt.
Do you have any facade renderings of the plant structures to show us?
No facade renderings. Those come at the time of preliminary subdivision plan. So if and when this gets approved, then they would have to go through the process of preliminary subdivision plan and show the elevations at that point.
Well, there are no structures on the land right now, correct?
It's all vacant land currently.
It's all vacant, right? And I don't think developer is going to build any kind of a future architectural landmarks either, simply because there is no budget for it. The main focus is on selling decent units and selling them to people. The only natural landmark that I see on that property that can last up to 1,000 years is a tree. Did you do any research on that particular species?
So is your comment related to saving the tree that's out there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's our goal as well.
Yeah.
And the applicant does
The
that.
tree has a canopy that's probably 70 feet wide, 60 feet wide, and 30 feet high. The trunk diameter must be at least 2.5, 3 feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a horticulturist, I can tell you that tree is approximately 80 to 90 years old.
Yeah.
These trees can live up to 1,000 years. Okay, there are some landmark trees. It's native to southern United States. And what they do is, let me just read you a little paragraph about this tree. It's very short. The primary uses for southern live oaks today are providing food and shelter for wildlife. Among the animals for which live oak acorns are an important food source are the bobwhite whale, threatened Florida jay, wood duck, yellow-bellied sapsucker, wild turkey, black bear, various species of squirrel, and white-tailed deer. The tree crown is very dense, making it valuable for shade, and the species provides nest sites for many mammal species. It's a very important specimen considering how old it is, and if there is only one thing that can be kept on the property, I think the tree should be.
Absolutely, and that's what we're gonna fight for. Again, that's gonna come at the time of preliminary subdivision plan. They're gonna have to show us what trees they plan on taking down and what trees they plan on keeping, and we're gonna have a very close eye on that because we know that's very large and healthy trees.
And I was gonna say, I just want you to know that there is language in the code that actually even prevents something like a solvent from going in the drip line. So, you know, we have arborists, and I know that is a really special specimen. So and I'll talk to you later about this also, because we also have a tree ordinance update coming. We need people like you.
Thank you for that, sir. And just so you know, everyone knows, this plan was submitted by the applicant as a conceptual plan. It's not been reviewed by staff, so it is only conceptual. So I'm going to get to you, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, question for you. With that cut through from Summerport, have any of you, all four of you, anybody been at the light at Ancilla between 6:40 and 7:10 a.m.? Monday through Friday?
No, sir, but I take your...
But I would, because all of that traffic is going to be coming right through that.
Well, that's why we're here. That's why we're here to hear the concerns, and so I'm hearing from...
I'm sorry?
That's why we're here tonight, to hear the concerns, and I'm hearing from others, many of you that would like to look at alternatives, maybe a pedestrian-only connection in lieu of a vehicular connection. We can certainly take that comment to the Development Review Committee. They're the ones that are going to make the first recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission, who then makes the recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners.
Yeah, I'm just saying that because, like, when the elementary school opened and then the middle school opened, right? Unfortunately, you know when you need to get your child to school, but for some reason, X% are running late and they're flying through the neighborhood. No matter what neighborhood, this neighborhood, that neighborhood, or they're cutting people off here, no matter what it is. So you couldn't pay me, unfortunately, just knowing this around here, to buy anything in that yellow with cars flying, because they're going to be flying through there because they're going to be late, especially all the sophomores, juniors, and seniors that you know are hitting snooze 10 times.
Right. So
I just throw that out there that I would recommend you go on the corner of 535 and Ancilla just between 6:40 and 7:10. Even bring some of your executives so they can see it because they're going to want to get a return on their dollar, right? And it's going to be out there, so I'm sure there's an executive somewhere here in the room, right? But that is backed up at least 30 cars to 40 cars every light. They're going right there.
Take a note
to save someone from getting hit. Or
In the neighborhood, too.
That's my concern.
Within the neighborhood also.
All right, that seems to be a common comment here tonight. If anybody else has that comment, please let us know. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And building off of his comment, one of the things I wanted to know was, at this point right now, do we know when the traffic study is going to take place?
That comes at the time of preliminary subdivision plan submittal. That's when they'll show whatever turn lanes may be needed.
With that being said, it better not be during summer.
Thank you.
Because that is the worst.
That's the worst time to do it.
During summer.
Right.
Summer.
Yes. Okay, not in the school year. So, with that being said, who, and forgive my ignorance, but who is actually in charge of the traffic study? Is it someone on your behalf, or is it
somebody that they hire to submit to the county? The county reviews it. So.
Okay, and then finally, with that being said, I live in Lake Haywood Estates. We had to fight to death to get a light put in. Did it help? No. So I think we need to realize that just by saying, oh yeah, we're gonna put the light where the entrance for this development where it's connected with the light, it's no. Like it's not that easy. There are so many times where we have kids crossing in front of us. There have been multiple children who have almost been hit We have people who utilize where our entrance is for U-turns and for kid drop-offs. So I just want to give you my perspective from a situation that's already in place that you're looking to just now copy and put down at the other end of the high school.
It's just safety.
Public safety, kid safety, I mean, you know.
And now we have bus stops there too.
And now there's a Lace bus stop right there.
Right in
so.
front of us, yes, right in the cross.
It's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Question is, are these lights all synced with each other?
Yeah.
Because I
Are the
live in
lights
Summer-
synced?
I live in Summer-
The worst.
I live in Summer Park, and when I get out the furthest entrance near the gas station, when that light turns green, there's no way that I can get out because it's packed with cars blocking the way to get out. And that's happened numerous times. You get a green light, but you can't go because there's so many cars congested there.
Yes, they are all synced in, but if you have a complaint about one, you can email the traffic engineer and they can adjust the timing on this app.
So are they all set right now, what you're saying?
Yes.
That's the best flow that's possible?
Yes.
Because like I said, when you come out that north half of Summer Park, when you get a green light, everybody's stacked up and they're trying to get up toward the gas station. It's all backed up right past, I'm not sure it's Oxford something or something across the street development. They're backed right up.
Because we give the most time to the major street, not to the side street. But if there's a backup, we can send somebody out and they can, take counts of how many cars are stacking and we retime the signal to accumulate more cars to go into the green
But
time.
I'm saying that when I get a green light, there's no way for me to pull out anywhere because there's cars solid right across the front and they headed toward the gas station.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, people, in other words, you can't legislate against stupid, right? I mean, people are being rude and they stop and you can't, there's nothing you can really do
There's
there.
nothing you can do for that.
So on that note, I'll show my email address again. Take a note of it so that you can email me and I'll forward that on to Myrna and she'll get it to the person that'll be able to take a look at that. Again, jason.sorensen@ocfl.net. Email me and I'll go ahead and forward it to Myrna and we'll have somebody go out there and check out the timing. Yeah, so just to go over a little bit more on the process here. Again, we're at the land use plan application stage. It's going to move forward to the Development Review Committee, which is a staff level sunshine meeting. They give a recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which is a public hearing. If you receive this notice in the mail, you'll receive a notice for that public hearing. They give a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to make a final decision on the request, which is also a public hearing, and you'll also receive a notice for that. So there's two opportunities for public comment at the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing and at the Board of County Commissioners hearing. We don't have dates set for those, but you will receive notices.
How do you get on the mailing list? Because this came through our HOA, I'm on our ARB committee, so it's just kind of FYI kind of thing. And so how do I get directly?
Yeah, sign up on the, over there.
Okay.
Yep, but also if you're talking about the District 1 newsletter stuff, see Hannah
I was
afterwards.
gonna say, just email us, yeah, we can get your.
You can sign up at the bottom of NicoleWilson.org, and we send out a monthly community newsletter where we have information about public meetings like this, and this is in early February. And then we also send out a bi-weekly legislative update for the BCC meetings, so over all the ordinances, comp plan amendments, and new developments in the district, and proclamations and stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
On the plan, if you could go back to it, I just had a question about the 110. So are the single-family homes being counted in the 110, or is there?
Yes,
110?
17 single-family homes and then 93
Okay,
townhomes.
you had said that before.
Yep.
I just forgot that detail. So if the layout, which is totally proposed and not approved now, if it's modified to do some traffic calming,
Or save a tree.
whatever, yeah, big roundabout around the tree with park space, then just looking at the single family, I know one of the big reasons for that accommodation, which it's great that it was done, was so the Lake Haywood view would be single family and not townhomes. So just looking at the map, the higher end of the yellow single family, that might be a place to put the density for the townhomes if they really want to keep the 110.
Well, they have to keep the 110.
Right.
Right.
Because you can fit more townhomes in the same property as a single.
So you're saying on the northern portion of the yellow, if they have to put townhomes there, it'd be on
That
the.
seems like Lake Haywood, their view would not be diminished because that's kind of around the corner.
I see what you're saying.
So,
The
it was just a
sideline.
design
Right.
thought. And then, on the street, like, I'm not a traffic expert, but, like, it makes sense to connect with that existing light, but they're also looking at the map, like, if the entry was farther north, I think it would probably be less, convenience for kids to just go across at the light. If it's at the light, like, I agree, like, more people are gonna take that to get home. But if maybe at the north end of the property, then they're gonna consider that's only one of the options to get into Summerport or go in that direction, so, just a thought. Yeah, because the light's gonna say, like, this is the way to go, right? It's like a big signal that says, go this way.
Right. For pedestrians, that's a good thing, because it would be a controlled intersection.
Right.
Instead of, not having a controlled intersection when they're trying to cross. Anyway, yes, sir.
So, obviously, one of the comments that came out
Right.
is that it may
Yeah,
not
down
be
the
a true
street.
traffic connection, that there's still potential to make a pedestrian-only connection for Summerport. Is that true?
It is a potential pedestrian in lieu of vehicular.
And
Yes.
what exactly needs to be done to try to, I guess, make sure it's pedestrian-only? Because that would alleviate a cut-through, obviously, for traffic, obviously, kids on bikes and things like that, which, again, I don't think anybody's gonna have an issue with that so much, but how would we follow up to try to drive that?
Well, I may have spoken out of turn. Olin's.
Yeah.
So I know we have a lot of criteria in the code. So
Yeah, I don't want to be clear. We don't want to make any promises we can't keep. Our code and our comp plan is really, really strong when it comes to connectivity. There certainly have been exceptions in the past when the Board of County Commissioners has made the decision to provide for some alternative types of connection. But that would be the board's call. You're not going to hear a recommendation from staff asking the Planning and Zoning Commission or the board for a pedestrian connection in this particular case. But the option is there, but it's not for us to make as staff. That would be at the board level, and it's probably not something that our transportation division would support, given the amount of traffic that's generated in the general area that needs that connectivity.
So, again, who would we speak to try to make
So
that happen? It sounds like it's not anybody here, but who would that individual or group be?
well, the commissioner's here, and I think she's hearing what the concerns are. So when it gets to the Board of County Commissioners, there's the opportunity for the board to approve this with a change that it be pedestrian only.
And secondly, sorry, on your 1998 map, if you could go back to that real quick, there you go. On the northwest corner of the property, where right now everything's showing is red for this proposed location, and I believe, if you said correctly, that was for townhome use? Is that why it was red?
TH stands for, it's actually, well, it's orange, but it may look red.
Okay.
But TH is townhome.
Okay, and then so directly to the left, in the northwest side of that, the property that extends over the water, that is also, to me, it looks like it's the same color, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But they're single.
All of those are single-family homes that have been changed, so when we talked about the potential and the ability to change this based on the current zoning, that obviously there is a precedent that has been established where all of those other properties have been changed over to single-family homes. So-
Right, but you'll also know, it's hard to see, but right where you see Ancilla Boulevard, right around the Boulevard word, there's really small lots. Those are townhomes.
Correct.
Which you're probably already aware. But so that PD spread out the density, so they have single family, but then they have the townhomes. And you're allowed to do single family in the townhome district. They're proposing single family in the townhome district. So, but they have the minimum density, just like that other development had the minimum density as well.
Okay, so the area that is in yellow, right above that, that's actually where I live. It's basically the same homes across the street right now. That was just a decision based on density to be able to put the townhomes on that other area you just pointed out?
Right, and so just to get into a little bit of the concept of Horizon West, just south of here is the village center, and the idea was that you have densities that would be larger toward the village center and then decrease as you go outward from the village center. So despite what you see in the light green there, because that was an existing community, it does generally follow that decrease of density from the village center to apartment district, to townhome district, to garden home district. Does that answer your question? Or?
In the combination, and I see what he's saying, like a couple things, right? I mean, so when the developer bought, baked into that price was, from an appraiser was, hey, this is land used for this amount of density, right? And so it was sold based on that, so the property owner, the developer expected to be able to develop at least that much. Our biggest issue has always been developers trying to like screw us and get more density, right? And they're always like, I mean, the original proposal is ridiculous, 5-story apartment complex. So if the minimum is 110, you know, we had requested that those homes along the lake for all the reasons that were discussed, but he didn't have to. He could have still just developed townhouses in that whole space. And so, but because we worked with him and said, look, we want you to accommodate the look and feel of the lake, the visuals from 535 looking this way, and also just to maximize value, because we know that's peak value land, as opposed to cramming on a square footage basis, as opposed to like cramming it into a smaller space. He accommodated us by doing that. Now he's making up the difference in the townhomes, but even then, as she was saying, they could go up to 4 stories and increase density. We said no way, so they've agreed to 2. So I think what you're seeing is he's trying to do his best to make money based on what he bought the land for, accommodate the community, and at least get the minimum density. So it's, you know, that's kind of the calculus as I see it. And am I explaining that properly?
Oh, great job.
Okay.
Yes, sir, in the back.
How do we get confirmation that the traffic study will not be done when school's out? Like, who do we need to talk to, or, because doing it in June, July?
It's based on traffic
That's
counts
just
throughout the
ridiculous.
year. Is it not? We're not.
I love commuting to work in June, July, and August, beginning of August, no one's on the road.
Concurrency is based on the level of service of the road. And
I'm sorry, can you speak louder?
Concurrency is based on the level of service of the road. We put all those hoses all year round, you know, those hoses on the ground to take counts on a yearly basis, right? But we take the worst time of the day, which is 4 to 6, because that's the peak based on the Institute of Traffic Engineering. 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Where
So-
are they out there now? Like in Summerport, going out on the, like, going from Ancilla to 535, I don't ever recall.
You never
going-
seen a hose on the
Not on
floor?
Ancilla, no. No.
Well, okay, first it has to be a functionally classified road. I don't know if an
Well,
Ancilla is
yeah,
that.
I'm not in your business, so I don't know all the classifications that need this, that. I'm just
Okay.
asking.
But
Someone
the
made a
traffic
comment that
study-
someone made a comment that the study was gonna be done in July.
Yes.
Which is but now you're saying they're on the road 365
Well,
days a year.
well, let me tell you, we do 365 days a year, we take counts, and then when we do is we
In the
come
whole
out.
county.
In the entire county, we lay
I'm
down
not worried
station.
about I'm worried about here.
Yes, I understand, but this is the process. I'm just giving you a general. We have all the roads in the county in a big website, okay, and on a database, and we take the counts, how many cars are on the road, how many cars usually a road with 2 lane can handle, and then if those people are adding more cars to that road, then we know how many cars they are adding above what that road can handle. This is how it is mapped. So a road of 2 lane is about 880 PM peak trip, right? And when we take the count, and the hose shows that this road, there's only 600 cars are going through that road. That means there is 280 trips available for them to grab from that road.
No, I understand what you're saying, but someone made the comment that the study was gonna be done in July.
Well, I don't know,
I was
July,
just-
I
I
think
was
in
just-
the,
So is there a more
we do, I mean, we do counts all year long, but then,
So there,
but
I'm worried about
let me tell you, we have the worst data possible. That means the worst condition of the road, we have it in our database.
And where can I find that coming from Ancilla to making a right on 535?
I will be able, if you email to
Because all that
Jason,
traffic's gonna go
I
through
get
that
it.
neighborhood.
If you email Jason, which segment of the road do you want data on? If we have it, I will email it to you.
Say if we don't have it, how do we get it?
If we don't have it, we can request from traffic engineering to do a study for you to measure how many cars are on that road.
Before this development's built or after?
I mean, it depends on you.
Because that's my concern, it's a safety concern. They're building, I'm not worried about that. My concern is the safety concern for those
Yes.
people that are moving into that neighborhood and in Summerport. That's it.
I get it.
So I'm not arguing 112 or 117, it doesn't matter, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's more of those people that are gonna buy in there and Summerport, that's my concern of making the right on Ancilla on the 535 between 640 and 710. Because they're all going through there.
I get it. The study that you are.
And someone's gonna get, like, I don't want anyone to get hit, hurt, or whatever. So I'm just saying, when, you can send that to us, and then if not, we just need to see that because
Well,
it's gonna
how are
hurt
you
the
gonna see
development.
it without them being out there? So what you are requesting, yes, what you are requesting is the condition of the road and how safe it is with this development, right? Without this development,
It doesn't even matter if it's built.
okay, then
I
your
wanna do it
request,
today,
yes,
because
I
it
get
doesn't
it.
matter if it's built. All of those people that are making, all these high school students and parents, like myself, I'm gonna go through the development now. Or my daughter or son's gonna go through the development, because it's just easier to go straight through. Right?
Okay.
That's the concern.
4 to 6
Okay.
is not busy time. It counts to be looked at, not 4 to 6 around here. This is based on school.
Okay.
So they-
Then what
Other
you are requesting is a safety study, which could be requested from traffic engineering in our department. Jason, when you send an email to Jason, I will forward it to the right person, which you are requesting a safety study. They can come out here during school operation, take some counts, take some numbers, and give you an analysis of how this is gonna be functioning.
Okay, I'm really confused now because I was under the impression that this traffic study was gonna be done to see that, to better understand the impact that this community was gonna make on
Yes.
us and how they could improve to reduce the impact. Now
Yes.
you're saying, oh, I don't know, you can request this, well, like,
No.
do we have to do everything?
No,
Or is
you-
this gonna happen? Everything has been very cryptic, like, I just want a straight answer.
Yes,
Are you guys doing a traffic study before this development goes in?
yes.
When?
It is part of when they're ready to pull a building permit, they have to do a traffic study, and they
How long
have
does the
to.
traffic study last? Because again, like we are all saying, if you don't drive this road, summer's great, no problem summer. If you do it during non-school year, I mean, you're gonna get great results. It's gonna be like awesome for you guys.
Not really.
But if you do it during school year, you're gonna have a very realistic.
But the data that we take is on an average throughout the whole year, and we
I don't
throw
understand
out.
that. That makes no
Well, you don't.
sense.
I mean,
That doesn't make sense to
You
me.
can't
I
do
don't
that.
understand.
Because-
You just said that it's during the busiest time of the year, so that's what you need to base it off of. You don't take an average when kids are out of school for 3.5 months.
But you can't take every single day. You can't take how many cars on the road.
Just
You
sit there
cannot-
for 30 minutes.
But you just said
I get it.
365 days you do it.
Yes, exactly. And that's
Well, why
when
can't you do
when
it
you
every
get
day?
all these numbers, you do an average of the 365 days, so you can come up with an average number of cars on the worst time possible. That's what it is.
When I was president of Kaywood, I came in before they put this monstrosity in, and I said the same thing. I actually came in saying, "Oh yeah, I love the school. It'll be a great plan." Then as president, I was thinking, okay, well then I started listening to a lot of people, and they said, no. Look at the traffic, look at the issues, look at the accidents, look at right where on 535 and right at the end, right at the road where the lights really is. Look at that, see what's going to happen. And man, you still hear accident after accident. And I started realizing after that, so I kind of asked for the same information, literally on tape, and down to the county in front of the board. And sure as hell, they said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do a study." So what you're asking for is logical, and what I'm hearing she's saying is, "Oh yeah, just request this." It doesn't make any difference, and I'm not being pessimistic, and I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just telling you the truth. It'll
Yeah,
be a
no,
rat's
and
ass.
I completely hear that, but I guess my point is that if they're gonna be coming into space and creating more problems for those who are already living here, why do I have to do everything? So I was under the impression until she had started talking, that this traffic study was definitely gonna be done.
So,
And then it became
I just want to try to clarify, so can you let me know, or us know, what the concern is that you're trying to solve with the traffic study? What do you think that's gonna show? Is it that you don't want the vehicular connection? Because the traffic study is gonna show that it's gonna create a dangerous situation from the cut-through traffic?
So, and I'm speaking more of, I can feel for the people in Summerport, and I support them in what they're trying to fight for, but I'm telling you from having access, literally, and we talk about access zones, Lake Haywood has one in and out.
Right.
One in and out, and it's at 5:35, and it sucks. And it's gotten a lot worse since the high school went in. Traffic light did not help at all.
And the traffic
And-
lights wouldn't even need to be a traffic light there.
So I get your
Right,
concern, I get your concern, the traffic flow is gonna completely change, right? Is that the?
Well, I feel like a traffic study needs to be done before we can support this project. That's
Yeah,
how I feel.
right.
That should be done first, and then we can.
So
go ahead and
the
say,
purpose of the
we
traffic
support
study
this project.
is to put in turn lanes and traffic lights and stop signs. It's not to look at where a connection may be required and to say it's not gonna be required because there's gonna be too many cars.
But if it's a safety issue, let's look at the kids walking and riding their bikes to school in the morning. It's not about the traffic, it's about the safety. And I think that study needs to be done before we can say, yes, we support the project.
It should be done when the school is actually. I'm gonna tell you, there's gonna be a lot of people in that neighborhood not happy. I'm gonna be going through there 3 or 4 times a day. No
So-
problem.
Your concerns are heard. So we're gonna, I don't think the traffic study is gonna be the connection issue. I don't think that's gonna be the thing that gets rid of the connection. But there is another route to get rid of the connection. So with that said, are there any other comments or questions? What time is it? If 5 minutes left, yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, I'm like one of the biggest proponents of connectivity in Horizon West, but given the fact that right now the entrance is the light from the high school, like that's a unique situation. If the high school wasn't there, I don't think anybody'd have an issue with that connectivity. So it's a unique situation.
It is. Yeah.
And I suggest the study, we're not doing it at 4 o'clock, but actually when school dismisses, that's when a true study should be. Because that's when it's horrendous out there.
Yeah, again, so
Between Windermere Prep and.
the traffic study uses, when they look at their numbers that are in their database already. They're not laying hoses out all across this area when the traffic study is completed. It's based on numbers that are already in the database.
Okay, because she had said 4 o'clock onward.
Well, that's when they put the hoses down, but they're not doing that when the traffic study is initiated.
Where can we find information? Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, I remember the hoses, like, as COVID hit, March of 2020, I promise you, if you can tell me when the hoses were laid, I could probably tell you that's when they were. And that's when school got canceled. And so you got a lot of, like, some data that they already have. I don't know if I really think it's good data based on when they've collected it already. So I'm telling you, I'm like, oh, how convenient that they put hoses to count when school's been canceled. And here I am driving over every day, realizing school's been canceled.
Yeah. Email
It's not doing us any
me,
good.
email me, and I'll forward it to Myrna, and they'll go out and lay hoses, right? Any other questions or comments? All right, here's my email, and I'll leave this up, so take a screenshot with your phone, and please sign in.
Go back to my when you're done.
Oh, yep.
And please, 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 stay in touch with me, okay? Because I really appreciate, I know this was not fun or easy, but it's really important. And this is my community, and I want to make sure that we're hearing everyone and figuring out now, because this is where it's got to be figured out. So thank you for being here.
Yep, district1@ocfl.net, and then Nicole Wilson at, what's the?
Sign up for the newsletter.
The newsletter, yes.
Sign up for the newsletter at the bottom of NicoleWilson.org.